It's a Europa stamp from Portugal, and it features a child playing with a spinning top on their hand. The face value was 80 Portuguese escudos, and it is a mint stamp with no postmark to examine. The stamp was issued back in 1989, and I'm really excited to learn about Europa stamps and spinning tops. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to focus on Europa stamps for this episode, and perhaps at a later time we can discuss stamps of Portugal. But there is one Portuguese stamp that I just want to spend a minute talking about because it's very cool and it was brought to my attention by somebody in the comments of the Unusual Stamps video that I made a while ago. It is this stamp. It is made of cork. Yes, cork, as in the same cork used for wine bottles. And it's a really neat stamp. It was issued back in 2007 and is considered to be the first postage stamp that is made of cork. It's wafer thin, and the image that's printed on it is a cork tree on a hill. So why did Portugal make a stamp out of cork? Well, it's the world's largest producer of cork. It harvests 34% of the world's natural cork, and cork is something that is not only used for wine bottles but also building materials such as cladding and insulation. It's used in aeronautics, bulletin boards, sports equipment, some woodwind instruments use it, and there are a lot of other uses for cork. But it's mainly used for wine stoppers. I didn't know that Portugal is the largest producer of cork, but I do now because of this postage stamp. See, I might not be the smartest guy out there, but I know a lot of random cool stuff thanks to philately. Okay, so what is a Europa stamp? Chances are that if you have a collection of European stamps, you'll come across one or several of these stamps with the word Europa, and they could be from a number of countries in Europe. The concept of Europa stamps began in 1956 with these stamps. They were issued by 6 European nations that belonged to the European coal and steel community after World War II. The purpose of that community was to create a common market for coal and steel among the 6 members. It was all part of an effort to ease economic tensions after the war. Well, these 6 nations, namely Belgium, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, France, West Germany, and Italy, jointly issued stamps with this common design of the word Europa surrounded by construction scaffolding. Europa is the Latin word for Europe, and the idea behind this joint issue was to display a common objective after the war: building a strong Europe together. It's quite simple and brilliant. It was a move towards a united Europe. Back in 1949, there was the Council of Europe that was created by Western European nations. There was this coal and steel community. The Treaty of Rome in 1957 created the European Economic Community. And then the European Conference of Postal and Telecommunications Administrations, known as CEPT, was founded in 1960. All of these were efforts to bring Europe closer together and could help to prevent the possibility of another war. So the CEPT that was formed in 1960 took over the concept of Europa stamps beginning that year, and all Europa stamps moving forward included CEPT, including the stamp that are pulled from the box. Europa stamps had common designs amongst the participating countries each year. That's from 1956 all the way through to 1973. Well, there were a few exceptions to this, including 1957, and then some countries did at times put the word Europa on their stamps but did not participate with the chosen design. But in 1974, Europa broke away from the idea of a common design and instead went with a common theme, allowing participating nations to express their individuality through the imagery. The first theme was sculptures, so the Europa stamps of 1974 featured sculptures of the participating countries. Since then, Europa stamps have featured a different theme each year, and there's been some beautiful imagery displayed through the artwork of these participating European countries. This stamp that I have pulled from the box is from 1989, in which the theme was children's games. So Portugal issued these with the spinning tops, as well as with a kite, a toy boat, and then other countries such as Ireland, the UK, Liechtenstein, and Iceland, for example, also participated with the Europa theme and featured a variety of children's games. Here's a 1989 Europa first day cover from France. It depicts ball games represented with a cachet and imagery of children tossing a ball on the stamp. Notice the Europa postmark that also includes the CEPT logo. During the 1970s and 1980s, Europa stamps were highly sought after and anticipated by collectors. A lot of countries began to participate, including the smaller countries and territories such as the Channel Islands. What started off as just 6 countries back in 1956 grew to 37 countries participating in 1990. Now, in 1993, Post-Europe took over the concept of Europa, so the initials CEPT were no longer present, but they continued with the use of themes aimed at promoting culture and history in Europe, as well as the promotion of philately. On their website, which I have linked in the description of this video, it states that Europa stamps underline cooperation in the posts domain. Taking into account promotion of philately, they are also there to build awareness of common roots, culture and history in Europe, and its common goals. Each year, participating countries are competing for the title of Best Europa Stamp by submitting just one of their stamps into the competition. Even if they have a sheet or set of several different stamps, they can only submit one, and the competition is always fun to follow. So keep a lookout for Europa stamps, and if you're a topical collector, perhaps a past or an upcoming theme will play nicely towards your collection. Now, spinning tops. I used to play a lot with these as a kid, battling tops in the schoolyard. Spinning tops go back to ancient times. They're considered to be some of the oldest toys ever discovered by archaeologists. A wooden version was discovered in the tomb of King Tutankhamun, dating back to 1300 BC. There are several different versions of spinning tops. You can get finger spinners, the pump tops, or the kind that you spin with string and throw it in the air or on the ground. People can do some crazy tricks with these. It takes quite a bit of skill, and there are several different games that you can play with friends. You can battle each other. In some cases the stakes are really high and the loser has to give their spinning top to the winner. You know, I'm actually not that bad at it. Well, I wasn't at least 20 years ago when I last threw one. I bet I still got it. Perhaps I should take this opportunity now to show off my skills and impress you all. Let me know in the comments, do you collect Europa stamps, and have you ever spun a top before? More videos to come, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow me on social media. I post additional content and clues for upcoming videos. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.